the more you reach for it, the farther it moves from you. The more anxiously you try to secure health, the more your body answers with a whisper of fatigue. The more you grasp at supply, the tighter the ledger closes its fist. The more you demand peace from a person or a circumstance, the more it slips through the net of your plans. You have noticed it. We all have. There is a law at work that contradicts the mind's instinct to push. The mind says, do something, fix it, organize it, argue it into place. And the spirit, which is the only law in this universe, answers, be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Two voices, two movements, one arguing, one inviting. The arguing one has brought us weariness. The inviting one opens the only door that was ever there. Let loose right now. Release it, loose it, and let it go. Stop trying to demonstrate anything or anybody. Stop trying to demonstrate health or supply or companionship. I of my own self can do nothing. That is not a pious phrase. It is a statement of spiritual physics. The personal mind is not a healing agent. The personal will is not a law of abundance. Not all the truth you can memorize, not all the affirmations you can collect will heal a simple headache if you are forcing it. It has to be God's grace. It has to be the realized presence that begins to act upon the scene. Not as a theory moving thoughts around, but as spirit itself fulfilling itself. Now I can hear you ask, and rightly, if I do not push, if I do not script outcomes and manage them, how can life harmonize? How will the rent be paid? How will the body mend? How will that old estrangement soften if I am not pleading my case? And here is the serene reversal that is the foundation for everything that will follow. There are no such things as many demonstrations. There is only one demonstration, the realization of the Christ. All the forms you seek, health, supply, peace, are not separate things sent to you from a distant office of blessings. Christ doesn't send these things. Christ is these things. Health is the activity of God made manifest as your wholeness. Supply is the quality of God made visible as sufficiency. Peace is the presence of God recognized as rest in your heart. Do not look for the branches as if they were apart from the vine. I am the vine, you are the branches. When the vine lives in you as realization, the sap of harmony flows without your tugging on a single leaf. So it is, we begin not with more effort, but with less. We begin not with arguments, but with silence. Take no thought for your life is not a counsel to neglect. It is a counsel to trust the Father's life as your life. The kingdom of God is within you, not in the market report, not in the opinion of a doctor or the favor of a friend, within you. Therefore, the invitation is simple and it is immediate. Do not force anything. Let grace do the work. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Then wait. Wait until the clamor within you has lost its authority. Wait until there is a breath that is not yours, a peace that is not contrived. Wait until you can honestly say, it is not I, but the Christ within me that does the works. Then, and only then, move if you are moved. Speak if you are given a word. Otherwise, rest in that presence and let it translate itself into your affairs. We will not argue this. We will not try to prove it to a doubting mind, because the doubting mind is part of the very hypnosis that keeps you in motion while going nowhere. We will prove it another way, by experience. Sit with me now in the humility that admits, I have tried, I have pushed, I have strategized, and the net result has been strain. Now let us try what is foolishness to the wise of this world and wisdom to the simple of heart. Let us place the burden where it belongs. Cast your burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain you. Not upon a future event, not upon a person you wish to persuade, not upon your own cleverness, upon the living one within you. Stop pushing. There is only one demonstration, Christ realized. Hold that as your refrain. Let it rise like a tide that drowns the noise of 1,000 lesser desires. You see, striving blocks as surely as a clenched fist cannot receive, as surely as a noisy room cannot hear the quiet guidance that would have saved it 10 hours of confusion. Your inward pushing drowns the very whisper that would have shown you the path in a moment. The doorway to harmony has never been in the hallway of effort. It has always been in the room of surrender. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. That is not poetry. It is instruction. The rest given is not a nap taken by a tired person. It is the cessation of the personal sense of doership and the arising of an activity of God. When that rest appears, your breathing changes. The mind relaxes its grip on the problem. And without your planning, a call comes, a door opens, a symptom loosens its story and leaves. You have had glimpses of this. We are going to make it the way now. We are not commuting our responsibilities to chance. We are not advocating neglect. We are shifting government. Thy government shall be upon his shoulder. That is the principle. The more you trust that government, the more lawfully everything under your hand comes into rhythm. If you must take a step, you will be shown. If you must wait, you will be kept. This is not a promise drawn from my personality. I of my own self can do nothing. I am telling you what I have found in the quiet and what you can find without a middleman. The realized Christ is the law of harmony unto your experience. So let this be our foundation. We will not chase many demonstrations. We will not dramatize many needs. We will cultivate one realization. When the temptation to push rises, and it will use our refrain, stop pushing. There is only one demonstration Christ realized. Speak it not to calm your nerves alone, but to turn your attention to the presence that makes nerves irrelevant. Then be still, then wait, then trust that grace, not pressure, is now assuming the activity. From this beginning, the struggle stops and the way opens. Now, let us look plainly at this habit we have carried into our prayer closets, the habit of counting demonstrations as if we were keeping a household ledger. Here is health in one column, money in another, companionship in a third. Here is a project we want to succeed. Here is a symptom we want to leave. Here is a child we want to behave. And we add them up and call it our spiritual work. We tick the boxes. We say this was answered, that was delayed, this failed, and the mind grows clever in dividing life into parts and treating God as a vending machine for those parts. You know this as surely as I do, because we have all done it. But that very ledger, pious as it may appear, is the device by which we postpone peace. The more items you place upon it, the more you split your attention, and the more you imply, without saying it, that God is apart from the very life you are living and must be brought in to service your needs. Now, hear the simplicity that ends the complication. There are no such things as many demonstrations. There is only one demonstration, the realization of the Christ within. If you can take your thought off every separate branch and place it upon the vine, if you can stop treating effects and dare to turn wholly to the source, grace will translate that realization into whatever form is needful health, if health is asked for. Sufficiency, if sufficiency is required. Peace, if peace is the order of the hour. I am the vine, you are the branches. The branches do not bear fruit by effort. They bear fruit because the life of the vine circulates. So it is that our work is not to make fruit, not to make demonstrations, but to let the life of God be realized at the root of our being. Do you see, then, why the old hunt wears you out? One day you chase a cure, the next you chase a check, the third you chase affection, and every chase assumes that what you seek is outside, somewhere over there. But health in and of itself is not a thing. Supply in and of itself is not a thing. Companionship and opportunity are not parcels shipped from heaven. Both health and supply are qualities and activities of God. Christ doesn't send these things. Christ is these things revealing themselves as the harmony of your experience when Christ is realized in you. There is no health apart from life. There is no supply apart from the infinite nature of being. There is no enduring fellowship apart from love itself, living as the consciousness of those who meet. In him we live and move and have our being, not around him, in him. Therefore, the aim is not to get evidence. The aim is to abide. So let us reframe our asking. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. That is not a promise to get things after you say the right words. It is an instruction to stop making things your God. One thing have I desired, says the psalmist, that I might behold the beauty of the Lord. One thing. When one thing becomes our one thing, the many things find their place without our policing them. This is the serene reversal. The fewer demonstrations you chase, the more harmony appears, because you have ceased to divide God up into errands. Stop trying to demonstrate anything or anybody. Let loose right now the very idea that you must make something happen. Turn instead to the living reality. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Then wait, not for a sign to satisfy fear, but for the quiet recognition that the Father is already here, that the Christ, once buried in the tomb of your mind, is felt rising in your consciousness as assurance. I want you to understand the humility that undergirds this. I, of my own self, can do nothing. I cannot heal a headache, and neither can you. Not all the truth that is written in the books and carved on the walls will of itself harmonize a single household. It has to be God's grace. It has to be the realized activity of the Christ in you. Do you see how this saves you from pride when it works and from despair when it seems not to? Because the doer is not the person, the doer is the presence. When results appear, we bow. When they delay, we bow again. For our posture is the same in both. Thy will be done. Your feet are kept from running to and fro, and your heart is kept in confidence because you have placed government where it belongs upon his shoulder. Let me tell you a little picture, not to charm you, but to bring this down to earth. A woman came with a notebook. She had a list. A pain in her side, an account in arrears, a son in trouble with his foreman, a quarrel with a sister. She asked me to help her with these 4 demonstrations. Now, the temptation would be to touch each one, to offer counsel, to prescribe tactics. But we have learned something better. I asked her to close the notebook. I said, we will not touch your pain or your purse, or your son, or your sister. We will touch God. We will rest in that touch until God touches you. We sat in the quiet. No affirmations, no mental pushing, only the willingness to let the inner word come or not come presently. There was that soft settling that some of you know, the breath easing, the shoulders widening, the mind descending from the forehead into the heart. No words, just a felt fact. I am. After that, within 48 hours, the pain slackened without remedy. A check arrived from an old mistake corrected. The son's foreman apologized, and the sister telephoned. Do you think we performed 4 feats? No. There was one realization, many appearances, one cause. This is the axis on which we turn. When you wake, do not reach for your ledger. Reach for the one. Do not start your day with a list of lacks. Start with the presence that knows no lack. Ask this single question. Is Christ realized in me now? Not, do I have enough money? Not, is my body behaving? But, am I abiding in the vine? Is there peace here that I did not manufacture? If there is, you are on the foundation. If there is not, you are building on sand. Be still again. Wait again. Take no thought for your life. Does not mean be careless. It means be Godful. Let that quiet grow and spread until your decisions, if any, arise as gently as a leaf turns to the sun. Then, whether you write a check or make a call or take a rest, it is not you laboring. It is the Father doing the works. So it is that we retire from the career of spiritual accountants. We put away the little notebooks. We refuse the tyranny of the many and accept the liberty of the one. All true results rest on this foundation, Christ realized, not outcomes obtained. The more you trust that, the more you will prove it without trying to prove it. You will find that as you live out from the inner fact Christ is a reality, if so be the Spirit of God dwell in you. The outer facts rearrange themselves without your scolding. And if they do not at once, you are not disturbed, because you have ceased to make peace dependent upon pictures. You have found the peace that is a presence, and that presence becomes the law of harmony unto your experience. Therefore, let us say it softly and often. One demonstration Christ realized. Then be still. Then wait. Then let grace do the work. Now we come to the tender nerve of it, dropping the object. This is where the mind shouts its protest and where grace whispers its invitation. You have desired to get well, to get supply, to fix that person who does not behave according to your script. Let loose right now. Release it, loose it, and let it go. Stop trying to demonstrate a healthy body. Stop trying to demonstrate a fat bank account. Stop trying to demonstrate a reformed husband, a softened boss, a grateful child. Take no thought for your life. Is not a neglect of life. It is a turning from objects to source. It is a laying down of the idol for the living God. When you cease clutching at forms, you discover the formless that forever pours itself as whatever is needful. This release is not indifference. It is an identity shift. My child is not my possession. Who is my mother? And who are my brethren? They who do the will of the Father are revealed to be of my household. My body is not a project on which I perform anxious experiments. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? Money is not a savior, not a giver of life, not a law unto you. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. When I unfasten my fingers from these objects, I am not losing them. I am returning them to their rightful owner. I am restoring government to its throne. Thy government shall be upon his shoulder, and in that restoration there is rest. Hear this as essence, not poetry. There is no supply, and there is no health in and of themselves. Both health and supply are qualities of God. Christ does not send health to you across a cosmic counter. Christ is health realized as wholeness felt and appearing. Christ does not dispatch money like a package. Christ is sufficiency realized as provision seen where fear had seen lack. Peace is not a reward for good behavior. It is the nature of God recognized in you. When the Christ is buried in the tomb of your mind as theory and memory, you will count symptoms and coins. When the Christ is risen in your consciousness as living presence, the counting loses its authority and the forms align without your forcing. The practical tactic is as simple and as offensive to the busy mind as this. Stop thinking of the person, the condition, or the account. Turn your attention to God alone. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Then wait. Do you see how the mind resists? It says, but I must plan. But I must keep the figure in sight. But I must rehearse what I will say to him when he comes home. But I must refute the diagnosis. No, you need only one thing. One thing have I desired, that I might dwell in the house of the Lord. Dwell first. The house will prove itself as harmony. When a letter comes to me describing a condition, I read enough to know what is being believed, then I drop the person and the description. I get quiet. My attention now has turned to God. I wait. Sometimes there is only a breath that is not mine, a warmth that begins somewhere I cannot name and spreads through me as assurance. Sometimes there is a word, fear not, I am with thee. Only then, if anything, do I move. Often, before any word is sent back, the harmony has already registered where it was needed, because consciousness is one. Let us take it into the marketplace where you live. The ledger looks lean. The figure you dread rises before you like a god. You wake with the balance in your mouth like a dry taste. Right here, loose it and let it go. Do not argue with numbers. Do not court benefactors like idols. Close the book, close the eyes, and turn within. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Not I in a job, not I in a patron, not I in a clever strategy. The Lord is my shepherd. Wait until the inner tide turns and there is that unpurchased ease. Wait until the sense of pressure gives way to the sense of presence. Then, if you are moved to take a step, it will be a step taken by grace, not by fear. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. All these things, the forms of supply, are added to the realization, not manufactured by the mind. You will find, as I have found, that when the grasp is gone, the very channels you could not contrive open of themselves. Now let us come home to the body. A symptom speaks loudly. You can hear it at 2 a.m. The temptation is immediate. Fight it, treat it, claim over it with words. Be wise. The temple is not healed by the noises in its courtyard. The temple is healed by the presence in its holy of holies. Do not give the symptom reality by wrestling it. Turn within. In him we live and move and have our being. In him now, not after this clears. Rest until you feel the activity is not yours, until the breath of God becomes the law of your breath. Then, if a remedy appears naturally, you will know whether to take it without superstition, because the fear is gone and the Christ is governing. Not all the truth you can gather about health will heal a simple headache if you are pushing. but a minute of realized presence will undo what hours of fretting cannot touch. And about people, this is where our bondage has been most painful. Jealousy, ownership, the secret demand that another be a certain way for you to have peace. Release them, loose him, and let him go. That word was spoken about wrappings on a life that had been bound. Your loved ones are not yours to bind with fear or to wrap with your admonitions. My child is not my child. It is the child of God. I release my child into the bosom of the Father. My husband, my wife, my friend, these are not my saviors, not my projects, not my creditors. They are, at best, fellow travelers under one shepherd. Turn from the person, turn from your case, and behold God. When you do, watch how relationships soften without your arguments, how words are given when they are needed, and silence becomes a ministry when it is not. Do you see the paradox now with a little more clarity? It is only in loosing a thing and letting it go that we really have it. The clenched fist cannot receive. The open hand is filled without grasping. The bird you hold too tightly will struggle and injure itself. The bird that senses no threat will rest in your palm. The more you try to demonstrate supply, the less you will have of it. The more you try to demonstrate health, the more you will live in the calendar of symptoms. But the moment you turn from the object to the source, from the branch to the vine, the sap of harmony flows. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Not as a thing to be chased, but as presence to be realized. So it is. We release the object and we seek God alone. Forms will follow the realized presence as surely as dawn follows the quiet of night. Stop pushing. There is only one demonstration, Christ realized. Be still. Wait. Let grace assume the activity. And watch how the very things you had strained to hold now abide in ease under the government of the One. Now, how do we do this? You have heard the refrain, one demonstration, Christ realized. You have heard, be still, then wait. Let grace do the work. But you will ask, and rightly, what is the way by which I place myself where grace can assume the activity? Here is the way, as I have learned it in the only classroom that counts silence. Sit down, any chair, any room, any hour. Do not wait for perfect conditions, for then you will never begin. Sit, close the door if you can. If you cannot, close the inner door. Withdraw your attention from persons and from problems. Say within yourself, I am not here to fix anyone or anything. I of my own self can do nothing. Then, very gently, acknowledge God is, not as a sentence to persuade your mind, but as a turning of your face toward the fact that never moved. The kingdom of God is within me. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. At this point, notice the temptation to start a program of words. Notice how the mind wants to march around with affirmations and denials, trying to get an outcome. Stop. Do not push. We are not here to produce a result. We are here to recognize a presence. Words may come, yes, but let them come like birds alighting unbidden. Do not chase them. Your practice right now is receptivity. Wait, do nothing to make it happen. Take no thought for your life. Do not even try to hold to truth. Let go of truth held as thought, and let truth hold you as presence. The very posture of waiting is an act of faith, And it is powerful because it gets you out of the way so the Father may do the works. Now, you may say, but there is a person who needs help. There is a condition that presses. I know, but if you carry that person or that condition into the silence, you will fill the room with them and there will be no room for God. So again, release them. Forget them. Do not send thoughts to anyone. Do not project images. We do not influence minds. We do not practice thought power. That is not the Christ. That is the personal mind working very hard to be spiritual. Our way is this: drop the person, drop the condition, and turn wholly to the source. Because there is only one mind, one soul, one consciousness. The realization of God here is the only law that can appear as harmony there without your pushing it across. What happens in this quiet? Often it will be very ordinary. There will be no trumpet. But little by little, a change registers. The breath softens. A warmth may begin somewhere in the chest and spread as if the body had remembered something it had forgotten. The forehead relaxes. The room, though the same, seems wider by a few inches. Or a sentence rises of its own accord. Fear not, I am with thee. Or it is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Or simply, I am. Do not make these up. Do not fish for them. If they rise, receive them. If they do not, receive the silence itself. The marker you are waiting for is not fireworks. It is assurance, a tangible peace, a felt lifting, a quiet word that says without syllables, I am here. When that comes, be it a warmth, a breath, a word, or only a deep stillness, you will know that the government has shifted. Christ, once buried in the tomb of your mind, is now risen in your consciousness as presence. When that assurance comes, the work is done. Do you hear? The work is finished, though no outward sign has yet reported. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Do not pry the bud open with anxious fingers, asking, did it take? When will it show? That is to snatch the work back to the personal mind. Leave it. Let grace perform what you cannot. If, after this, an impulse comes, make a call, send a note, rest. Instead of striving, obey it quietly. But do not manufacture steps to prove something happened. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. If there is no impulse, do nothing. Trust. The living Christ is the law of harmony unto your affairs, and it knows its own way of appearing. If assurance does not come in that sitting, do not strain one hair to force it. Forcing is the surest way to ensure you will not feel it. Wait gently for a few minutes. If the agitation does not subside, bless the time and rise. You have not failed. You have only refused to pretend peace. Return later. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. This is an education in trust. As surely as dawn returns, the inner word will come when the soil is not clenched. Some will ask, but if I am asked to help another, must I not think of them? No, you must not. This is our discipline and our protection. When a request comes, read it once, understand the nature of the cry, and then put it aside. Do not take the person into your meditation. Do not visualize their healing. Forget them. Remember God. If a word is given after the inner assurance, one sentence, perhaps send it. Sometimes even that is unnecessary. The healing has already preceded the letter. Because there is only one consciousness, your realization will register wherever there is receptivity without your attempting to direct it. There are small, tactile confirmations that the mind does not invent. Sometimes you will feel a quickening, as if a current had moved through you. Sometimes your eyes moisten without sadness. Sometimes an inward smile arises without cause. Sometimes there is only a vast quiet that was not there when you sat down. Any of these is enough. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not the peace that depends on conditions, but the peace that is a presence. That presence is the seal. When it has sealed the moment, do not add wax by your handling. Rest. Whisper within, thank you, Father, not as pleasantry, but as recognition that grace has taken the field. Now, do you see the simplicity? Sit down, turn within, be still, acknowledge God is, refuse to treat conditions, wait for the sign that is no sign to the senses, but sure to the heart. When it comes, the activity of Christ is present and doing what you and I could never do with all our cleverness. This is not a technique to get things. This is the way by which the one thing reveals itself as the substance and law of the many. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not manufactured by you. Added, not bargained for by a harried mind. Added by grace that requires only one cooperation: your silence, your listening, your willingness to let God be God in the midst of you. So it is, we lay down the burden of spiritual engineering. We are no longer accountants of outcomes. We are witnesses of a presence. When you wake, when you break at midday, when night comes, make this simple turn and wait, not as duty, but as delight, not as a task, but as a homecoming. The more faithfully you enter the stillness, the more quickly you will recognize the markers of assurance. And in that recognition, confidence will grow, not in your method, not in your person, but in the living Christ. Then the fruit appears in its own time, because the vine is living you. Be still and know, then wait, then let grace do the work. Let us bring this down to the bare floorboards where we live, body, person, house, and let us see, not as theory, but as life, how realized presence accomplishes what our fear and our force could not. Because if this is only beautiful language, it will fail you in the hallway at 2 a.m. But if it is the Christ in the midst of you, it will prove itself there in the hallway, as softly and as surely as dawn proves itself on the sill. A woman wrote to me of a headache that had sat behind her eyes for 3 days. She had read, she said, every passage she loved about truth. She had declared, I am spiritual and not material. And she had declared it so often her jaw ached from the clench of trying to make it stick. This is honest. We have all done it. Not all the truth that is written in the books will heal a simple headache if you are pushing. It has to be God's grace. So I asked her to stop addressing the head, close the book, put away every sentence as a tool, and let the only sentence left be still and know that I am in the midst of you. We were on the telephone. I said, we will be silent now. I dropped her name. I dropped the word headache. I turned within. My attention now had turned to God. There was no word at first, only the sense that breath had become spacious, a warmth beginning somewhere below the heart and moving up like a clear, gentle tide. Presently, the inner assurance, no language, just the felt fact. I am. And into that stillness came the simplest memory. Peace, be still. I did not throw it at a storm. It rose of itself. After a few minutes, we said good night. In the morning, there was her note. It left me in the silence last night. Nothing was done to it. It was as if the room was emptied of the noise, and only quiet remained. Do you see? It was not truth hammered at a symptom. It was truth realized as presence. Christ doesn't send health. Christ is health realized. The pain had no substance to resist that. Now the purse. A man showed me his figures rent due, invoices out, the old balance so thin it made his chest tight to say the number. He had been telephoning, promoting himself, adding hours where there were none. And the more he scrambled, the more his day became a bowl of sand that would not hold water. The more you try to demonstrate supply, the less you will have of it. Not because God withholds, but because your grasp denies the vine. I asked him to lay the ledger on the table like an idol put away. We will not speak to numbers, I said. We will speak to God, and then we will be quiet until God speaks to us. He is a practical man. He said, but I must act. I said, yes, but not until the actor is on the scene. We sat together. No bargaining, no counting, only the turning. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Not as a device to pry open a window, but as a returning to the owner of the field. In that quiet, there was first the familiar panic, like an animal used to pacing its cage. Then, as he did not feed it, the pacing stopped. He said later, I felt as if someone else had taken the straps from my shoulders. After that, there was a simple nudge, not a grand strategy, just a clear impulse to go to a drawer he had neglected. He found an unpaid invoice he had misfiled 3 months earlier. He wrote it up, sent it without apology, and the check came 2 days later, as if the channel had always been there, but fear had knotted it shut. In the same week, a client he had pressed too hard called without prompting and asked for work he was uniquely suited to do. I did not do this, he said to me. No, I answered. You did not. You stopped trying to do it, and the activity of the Christ took up its own government. Supply is a quality of God. When God is realized, supply appears as the law of that realization. The right action that followed was not strain. It was grace moving through him as natural as breath. Now the house, by which I mean the life under your roof, the child at the curb, the outing that tightens your heart. A mother told me of the crosswalk at the corner near the school. She had, by her own word, become a running commentary of cautions. Look now, stop now, not yet, my hand, my hand. The more she warned, the more the child grew brittle. The more brittle, the more the mother warned. You know this prison. So one morning, before the walk, we sat on her sofa. I said, your child is not your child. It is the child of God. Who is my mother, and who are my brethren? They who are under the same government. Let us return this child to where the real government is. We said nothing for a time. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. That came like a feather, not a club. Then she did something very brave. She said within herself, Father, into thy hands I release this little life. Underneath are the everlasting arms. The tears that came were not fear. They were relief. As if a burden she had called love was revealed to be fear in disguise, and she could put it down. They walked to the corner. The child, without prompting, stopped square at the curb and reached up, not in panic, but as if a chord in the air had been struck and he was answering it. A driver who had been creeping too fast glanced up as if nudged from within and braked with a smile. They crossed. There was no performance, no display, only the quiet sense that peace, not Mother's nervous energy, had become the law of that small world. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. The mother wrote that evening. It was like the street itself was under a different sky. This is not mysticism used as excuse for negligence. This is release, used as the doorway for right care. When fear stops shouting, wisdom speaks in simple sentences, and action, if action is needed, is exact and timely. In each of these marked the sameness. We did not treat the head, the numbers, or the traffic. We treated nothing. We turned. We were still. We waited. And when the inner assurance came, a warmth, a breath, a peace not manufactured, the outer facts answered to it without our design. I, of my own self, can do nothing. Say it until it is not lament but liberty. Then say, with the same breath, it is the Father within me that doeth the works. Not all the truth in all the books will, apart from this, change the small ache or the large bill or the quiver of a parent's heart. But a minute of realized presence will do what hours of fretting cannot touch. So let the teaching walk on 2 feet now yours. When the body speaks loudly, be still. When the purse looks thin, be still. When the child's world seems dangerous, be still. Know that I am in the midst of you. Then wait. Let grace assume the activity and watch how the law of the one demonstration translates itself into many gentle appearances, a clear head, an open channel, a safe crossing, all governed by the same Christ realized. Now let us look together at what this quiet does beyond the circumference of your own skin, because there is only one soul in this room, one mind, one spirit, one life. Your realization here is not boxed within you. We, being many, are one body in Christ. That is not poetry. That is spiritual law. When the Christ is realized at any point, the light does not argue its way across the shadows. It simply shines, and where there is openness, the dark yields without debate. So it is that your turning within, your be still and know, becomes a blessing far wider than your name, wider than your address, without your lifting a finger to send it anywhere. This is the law of radiance. Truth realized in one consciousness registers as harmony in any receptive consciousness, not because thoughts are pushed out like arrows, but because there are not many consciousnesses. There is one, the glory which thou gavest me I have given them, that they may be one, even as we are one. A lamp does not strain to light the room. It is what it is, and by being what it is, it illumines. A rose does not send its fragrance by intention. It is what it is, and the air answers. So when you are still, and the inner assurance comes, when the Father within has taken the field, that very presence is the law of harmony unto all who are under that government. They will feel it, some of them, without thinking of you at all. A tense mind will ease a notch and make a wise choice it could not see 5 minutes earlier. A hard word will soften in the throat of a man who has practiced hardness. A nurse, without knowing why, will pause and check a dosage. A neighbor will remember to forgive. You will not know most of it. You need not know. It is not yours to track. It is the Christ being itself, where there is room made for it. Now here's our ethic in this. Do not try to influence minds. Do not try to fix, to project, to gear the machinery of the universe with your fingers. That belongs to mesmerism, not to the Christ. We are not sending. We are not molding. We are not pushing. We are witnessing. We are surrendering space within to the one who already fills all space, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. Keep your hands off the mechanism. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. When an impulse comes to act, it will be clean of strain and empty of your agenda. Until then, rest and let oneness be what oneness is. You will write sometimes and say, but they are far away. They are across an ocean. How can this touch them? Listen, whither shall I flee from thy presence? If there is only one life, if there is only one mind, where is the distance? The medium of our work is not thought. The medium is grace, the activity of the Christ realized. Spirit bears witness with our spirit, because the witness is one. No cable need be laid. No force need be applied. If there is receptivity, the word that is not a word, the piece that has no syllables will register. Before they call, I will answer. This is why a letter that is read in the quiet of the afternoon can be met in the early morning on another continent with a sigh of relief. And the one breathing it will only say, something lifted. That something was not your thought traveling across time zones. It was the one presence being recognized here, and therefore being itself there. For there and here are the same in God. I have watched this more times than I can number, and every time it deepens humility. A man wrote from a city where I had never set foot, saying he woke at night strangled by fears he could not name. I read his note once and put it down. I did not take him into meditation. I turned, as we have learned, to God alone. There was no word that night, only a slow, sure quiet that came like evening on a lake. I slept. Days later, his second note arrived. At the hour I wrote you of, I woke again, but there was no terror. I lay under a peace I cannot explain. I did not think of you. I only knew I was not alone. Indeed, he was not alone. None of us is. The Christ in the midst of us is not localized. When it is realized in one, it is the law for all who are attuned, and they do not have to know our names to receive it. In your own house, you will see this in small, holy ways. You will sit before breakfast in the stillness and find the inner seal, a warmth, a breath, a wordless, yes, and you will go about your day without program. At noon, in a corridor, two people poised for an argument will, without knowing why, find their tones lower. A child across town will focus on his lesson and be less restless than yesterday. A mechanic will sense to recheck a bolt. A teacher will call on the quiet child and say the one sentence that opens a life. You will not stand in the hallway and claim credit. You will not announce, I did this. You did not. You released the only one who could. So it is, let your confidence be built on the nature of God, not on results you can tally. If one of you abides in this realization, your household is under a different sky. If two of you agree in the spirit, not about outcomes, but about God, there is a saturation of presence that blesses far beyond your table. Where two or three are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Gather not physically only, but in consciousness, in this name that is not a word, in this nature that is love itself. Let your light so shine, not by throwing it at anyone, but by being what you are in God, that men see the works and glorify the Father. Do you see the gift? You need not shout. You need not persuade. You need only realize. And oneness will do what oneness does. Translate the one demonstration into many right appearances, near and far, without your forcing. Be still. Know. Wait. And let the peace that is already in the midst become the quiet law to all who can hear, though they may never know from where the song arose. Now we must face the wide room of the world, for your kitchen and your corner are not islands. God is, Christ is, yet you wake to headlines that seem to shout the opposite. Nations bristling across borders, parties snarling, families splintered at the table, the hum of suspicion moving like weather across a whole people. How do you match God is with that picture? You cannot, if by God is you mean a sentence thrown at facts. You can only match it if God is becomes a living activity in you. Christ is a reality if so be the Spirit of God dwell in you. Without that, proclamation is noise upon noise. With that, the quietest realization becomes law. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. That is either a phrase to embroider, or it is the only way anything real happens. Do not be startled if the world goes on shouting while you whisper God is within. The world has shouted in every age. Banners and bands have marched with truths on their cloth while the feet beneath them trampled. But truth on a banner is not truth operating. Truth operates only as it is embodied, realized. Not all the truth that can be printed on placards and pamphlets will still a single quarrel if there is no Christ risen in a human consciousness to lend it breath. The kingdom of God is within you. If the kingdom is out there as an idea to be won, you will be at war with everyone who doesn't salute your idea. But if the kingdom is within you as presence, your very being becomes a resting place into which the tired and the angry can walk and lay down their arms without knowing why, because there is only one soul, one mind, one consciousness. The law that governs a single ache, governs a household, a street, a city, a nation, only magnified by the number who consent to it. Do you see? The same realizing of Christ that loosens a headache will loosen a hatred, because hatred has no substance before love realized. The same turning within that unties your grasp on money will untie a neighborhood's grip on fear, because fear cannot bind where presence is law. We are not speaking of theories now. We are speaking of the one demonstration radiating many forms. When you and I sit down and remove persons and parties from our thought, and we turn within until assurance comes, however small a warmth, however light a breath, we have opened a channel in the one consciousness through which grace may do what lectures cannot. Now, you will ask, what shall I do when the talk around me becomes a battlefield of opinions? Refuse to arm yourself. Do not go out to argue. Do not battle minds with a stronger mind. That is not our way. Be in the midst of them as one who is turned within. While voices rise, let yours fall inward. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Wait until the inner peace is felt. Then speak if you are moved, or do not speak. You will see, often, a change without your design. A harsh word falls with no echo. A face flushes and then softens. A new word appears in the room that no one owned a moment ago. A soft answer turneth away wrath, not because you found a clever sentence, but because there was an activity of Christ present to give your words the substance of peace. Some imagine this quiet to be passivity. It is not. It is the only activity that will not breed its opposite. The world is full of remedies that make more of the disease force added to force. We will not add to that. Blessed are the peacemakers, not the peace shouters, not the peace demanders, the makers, whose making is invisible because they are being peace. Christ doesn't send peace as a package to rebellious hearts. Christ is peace realized, and where it is realized, it governs. Thy government shall be upon his shoulder. When that is no longer rhetoric but recognition, the government shifts. Decisions that were clenched, unclench. Doors that were slammed open, a hand's width. Laws take shape that seem to have no author because they arose from a wisdom no caucus could have manufactured. Begin where you are. Do not set about to convert the planet with your plans. Let God be God in the midst of you, here, now, at your breakfast table, in the bus, in the office where teams are divided by cliques. Take the headline that makes your stomach hard and lay it down as you have laid down the ledger and the symptom. Turn within and wait. Refuse the intoxicant of outrage. Refuse the counterfeit power of agreement against a foe. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. May come to you not as a moral command, but as a suddenly obvious fact. No one in their right mind would do what fear and hate do. And because there is only one mind, your knowing that right mind here is the only way it can be known there. They will feel it without thinking of you. A soldier's hand loosens on the weapon. A writer changes a line that would have kept a lie alive. A minister closes his mouth on a sentence that would have drawn another line across a city. You will not see the chain of causation, nor do you need to. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. If you say, but bombs fall and children cry, I know, my eyes read what yours read, but I have also seen this, when even one in a place realizes Christ, that place begins to have a different sky. Safety appears where there was only fear. Provision appears where there was only calculation. Mercy appears where there was only memory. Do not ask me to plot a graph of how. It is not for the letter to track the spirit. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. And if there is not 2 or 3, gather heaven and earth in you. Gather God in your own listening, and you have the quorum required. The peace of God, which passeth understanding, shall keep not only your heart and mind, but will become the law of keeping in the small world you inhabit. And the small worlds that touch that one, and so on out into what you will never measure. So it is, we lay down the weapon of assertion, and we take up the only instrument given to us, awareness surrendered to the one. We are not out to win arguments. We are not out to win sides. We are out of the old game. We are in the kingdom. Ye are the light of the world. Light does not argue with darkness. It shines. And darkness, not being a thing, is not there to be overcome. Let your light so shine, not glare, not blind, but quietly be what it is. Keep your appointment with silence as service. 3 times a day, 5, as you are led. Turn within for your city, for your leaders, for those called enemies, not to bend them, not to send them thoughts, but to know God here until the knowing rests you. Then rise and do whatever is given in the gentleness that proves the giver. This is our commission in a noisy world. Only realized, presence translates truth into harmony. Be still, know, wait, and let grace assume the field. Now let us turn together, not as a lesson about silence, but as a living silence. Sit as you are. There is no posture that makes God arrive, and none that keeps God away. Let your hands rest. Let your shoulders drop the half-inch they have been holding. If you can close a door, close it. If you cannot, close the inner door. And now shut the door of thought about persons and about conditions. Let names slip from the hook of your attention. Loose them and let them go. We are not bringing a ledger, a thermometer, a face, or a headline into this room. We will leave our baskets at the threshold and enter empty. Say within, without strain, God is, not to persuade thought, not to make an effect, but as the turning of the face toward the light that always shines. God is. I of my own self can do nothing. The presence in the midst of me doeth the works. The kingdom of God is within me. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Let these be not many, but few, and let them fall like pebbles into clear water, one, and then the widening rings. Now wait, take no thought, make no promise, do not bargain, do not tell God what you will give if only this will happen. Do not set a clock on grace. It is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, not your cleverness to take it. Our willingness is enough, our resting is enough, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. If the mind runs because minds run, notice it the way you would notice a child starting to chatter before bed. Smile inwardly and say, hush now, not now, Father alone. If a person's face comes, do not scold yourself. Simply set it down as you would set down a photograph you love when you are about to pray. We are not sending thoughts. We are not molding conditions. We are not engineering the universe. We are being still. We are acknowledging God. We are making room for the one who is already in the midst. Let the breath be whatever it is. If it deepens, let it. If it is shallow, do not fix it. We are not practicing breathing. We are practicing trust. Wait, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Do not reach for sentences. If a sentence rises of its own accord, fear not, I am with thee, or my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, receive it as a visitor, and do not make it stay. If nothing rises, receive the nothing. The silence itself is not a lack. It is a presence without syllables. Notice now, perhaps subtly, the first signs of the government shifting. The forehead eases, or the room feels a fraction wider. The chest, without your doing, warms by a few degrees, as if a hearth had been lit behind the ribs. A softness steals over the air, the sharp corners of the moment round. Or there is only a weightless weight, as if a hand you do not have to see has rested upon your shoulder. Do not analyze. Do not measure. Do not ask, is this it? Do not go up into the head for commentary. Stay where you are and taste this with the heart. This is the feeling that the Father is on the scene. It may be small as a mustard seed, the tiniest, yes, but the seed is alive, and you are not asked to make it grow. When the release is felt, be it warmth, be it ease, be it a wordless assent, stop. Do not touch it with more words. Do not start to work on it as if it were clay in your hands. The work is finished here where it began. Seal the moment with the simplest acknowledgement. Thank you, Father. Then be still again for a breath or two, not adding, not improving, only letting the imprint take. This is the holy seal. If you speak now, speak no more than to say within, it is enough. Then rise gently when you must, carrying nothing but quiet. If the release has not yet come, do not strain a hair to force it. Do not dig at the soil to hurry the root. Sit for a little while longer in humility, and let the waiting be prayer. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Even this waiting loosens fear. Even this waiting tells the body and the mind that the government is shifting from self to spirit. If agitation remains, bless this time and rise without scolding. You have not failed. You have refused to manufacture. You will return, perhaps this afternoon, perhaps this evening, and you will find that the path to quiet becomes easier each time you walk it. Grace is not clocked by our impatience. Before they call, I will answer. And often the answer has been sowing itself beneath our noticing while we were busy trying to hear it. Now, let us be silent again. God is. I can, of my own self, do nothing. The presence in the midst of me doeth the works. Be still and know, and wait. Take no thought. Do not bring the outer picture to the altar. Bring only the heart turned and emptied. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. The noise in the street, the bird on the gutter, the hum in the walls, let them be what they are. You are not trying to go somewhere else. You are consenting to know that where you are is holy ground, because I am in the midst of you. If a tenderness rises now, do not be ashamed to let the eyes moisten. Tears are not failure. They are sometimes the old fear washing out by a gentler river. If laughter bubbles for no reason, do not cork it. It is not frivolity. It is lightness, returning to shoulders that have been soldiers too long. If nothing at all seems to occur, still do not judge. Often the stealthiest work of grace happens in silence that seems barren. The stone over the tomb rolls without a shout. Remember, when the small inward yes arrives, the felt release, trust it. This is grace assuming the activity. Do not go out to prove it. Do not test it by poking it with urgency. Let it prove itself, as leaven proves itself without drama. Should an impulse come later, call this one. Rest now. Walk instead of write. Let it be simple and unforced, free of the nervous push that tries to make outcomes. The vine knows how to bear its fruit through you. I am the vine, ye are the branches. The branch does not worry itself into grapes. So it is we have just done the only thing we are ever asked to do. We have turned. We have been still. We have listened. And we have trusted the firstborn of peace to be the law to all that concerns us. Not the letter as worked, but the living word. Not our power, but the Spirit. If the assurance came, bless it and leave it untouched. If it did not yet, bless even that, and know that your willingness has opened a window and that air is moving, though you do not feel the breeze at this second. Underneath are the everlasting arms. Carry this seal into your next hour without advertisement. Let your light so shine, not by throwing it, but by being this quiet within. When you find the mind reaching again for persons and for problems, return for 1 minute and repeat the turning, not as duty, but as delight. God is. I can do nothing of myself. The presence is the doer. Be still. No. Wait. This is the one demonstration in practice. All else that appears, betterment in the body, provision in the purse, peace in the house, will be the many faces of that one realized Christ. My peace I give unto you. Receive it now. Keep it untampered, and let grace, having assumed the field, finish what you and I could never begin. Now we come to the plain, homely grace of staying. A flash of realization may quiet a room. A rhythm of realization changes a life. The lamp does not burn because it once met a match. It burns because the oil is tended and the wick is trimmed. So it is with us. Keep the channel clear, not by work, not by squeeze, but by steady, simple returns to the one until grace becomes the rhythm that breathes you. Abide in me, and I in you. Abide is not a moment. It is a way of remaining. Let us make remaining simple. When you wake, before the foot reaches the floor, do not pick up yesterday's threads. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. 10 seconds will do when it is honest. A breath that says, Father, Here I am, without speech. Not to start your day rightly as a trick, but to remember that the day has already started in God. At midday, lay down whatever tool is in your hand, even if only in the heart. Close the office door in consciousness if there is no door to close in space. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Let the quiet return like a tide. In the evening, before you compose yourself to sleep, drop the faces and the tasks and turn within again, not to make the night safe, but to know that safety is the law of being. And that is here, these three anchors, morning, noon, and night, give the boat its mooring. Between them, the waters may chop and glitter. The boat does not drift. And then the micro pauses, the small obediences that teach the heart to live under one sky. Before a call, 10 seconds, God is. Before you press send, 10 seconds, God is. At the store, hand on the shelf. Before you buy what habit wants or fear insists you must hoard, 10 seconds, God is. With a child's question pulling on your sleeve, before your answer leaves your mouth, 10 seconds, God is. Not to influence the other person or to squeeze a better outcome, but to return to the source in whom the outcome is already held. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Stayed does not mean nailed down. It means touched and touched again until touching becomes the posture. At first, you will have to choose the return. You will forget and then remember, and then forget more quickly and remember more quickly. This is not failure. This is training. If it helps, set a small bell in the day, a watch that breathes at noon, a card on the desk that says simply, be still. Sit down 2 minutes, 5, as you are led. Wait until there is the sign, not a voice perhaps, but a warmth that rises without your manufacture, a breath that widens, the little inner yes that says, I am. Then rise. This is discipline, but it is not harsh. It is not a drill master. It is a shepherd. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures, in time, and do not ask me to count the weeks. What you began as a chosen return becomes an answered summons. The presence begins to call you, and you find yourself pausing in doorways without planning to, turning inward in a corridor and smiling for no reason the world can measure. The Spirit itself maketh intercession for us. There comes a day when you realize it is praying you more than you are praying it. Ease has replaced effort. Rhythm has replaced reminder. Now, guard this tend away from superstition. The power is never in your schedule. The power is not in 10 seconds or 10 minutes, not in a mantra repeated 40 times, not all the truth that is written in the books, not all the techniques you can collect will heal a simple headache or straighten a simple hour if you mistake the device for the presence. Use the cadence, but do not worship it. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. If your bell rings and life's love requires your hand, give your hand and return in the next breath. If a word you love no longer carries life, lay it down and wait in silence. We do not earn grace by frequency. We consent to grace by availability, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. Keep your hands off the mechanism. Keep your heart open to the operator. What are the fruits of this rhythm? A poise begins to develop that outlives the weather of circumstance. Winds rise, and you notice the house does not lean as it used to. Whosoever heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock. The rock is not your routine. The rock is God realized. Again and again, until the realization becomes the climate in which you live. Decisions that once felt brittle are made in a softness that is somehow more exact. Delays no longer pinch. Haste no longer flatters. The face in the mirror looks back at you as if it has been resting under a larger sky. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. That peace becomes operative, not as a blanket thrown over trouble, but as a law that governs what appears as right order, right timing, right restraint, right word. You will see that you are less drawn into the old contests. You answer less, and what you answer has weight. Do not complicate this. 3 times a day upon waking, at midday, in the evening, turn within and wait. Between those, thread the day with small turnings. If you miss one, do not accuse yourself. Return. If the day tumbles, and you find at night you have lived outwardly on fumes, do not count it lost. Sit in the dark, say nothing, and let even your failure be released into the same love. Return unto thy rest, O my soul. 70 times 7. Return until there is no return, because there is no leaving. Keep the channel clear through these steady, simple returns, and you will find that grace assumes the rhythm. Then it is no longer your practice sustaining your life. It is his life sustaining your practice. I, of mine own self, can do nothing. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. When that is no longer doctrine but habit, the one demonstration, the realized Christ within, becomes the quiet pulse by which your hours move. And the forms that appear will be the natural music of that one. Now let us become wise in the small ways, for great errors are born of small unseen. There is a simple diagnostic that will keep you from months of wasted motion. Strain signals self at work. Ease signals grace at work. Learn the feel of each, and you will know when to stop, when to wait, when to let the government shift. When hurry enters, when you find yourself racing the clock, pushing a prayer as if it were a wheelbarrow uphill, you may be sure you have stepped out ahead of God. When you catch yourself promising, if only you will do this, I will do that, you are bargaining with a presence that asks for no payment and sells nothing. When the mind begins to argue, stringing verses like beads, repeating truths to beat a symptom into submission, you have left the living word and taken up the letter. When jealousy tightens the chest and you start clutching a person, monitoring their eyes, their phone, their comings and goings, you are worshiping effect and forgetting cause. When dread pools like cold ink in the stomach and every picture you make is a worst one, your imagination has forgotten the one mind. Which of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit unto his stature? None of us, not all the thoughts in a row, will add a hair's breadth to harmony. Cease from thought work as if it were force. Take no thought, but seek ye first the kingdom. By contrast, note the fragrance of grace at work. There is a quiet sufficiency that needs no advertisement. You look at the same bill, the same letter, the same face, and something in you no longer flinches. You could take it or leave it, not from indifference, but from non-attachment. You have loosed the object and turned to the source. Then, unannounced, right timing appears. A call you did not chase arrives. An appointment moves, and what seemed delay becomes perfect order. You find yourself at the right corner without plotting. Provision slides in without the squeak of demand. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. You know the feel of it because there is room inside you, and what you do next carries no grit in its gears. The peace of God, which passeth understanding, becomes not a mood, but a law in the midst of you, and decisions that would have cost fight come clothed in gentleness. Christ doesn't send these things. Christ is these things as realized in you. Use this plain test. If strain is present, stop. Do not add a single sentence to your prayer. Do not tighten another muscle. Put down the object, health, money, person, project, like a stone you have no business to carry. Turn within and say nothing but God is, and wait. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Wait until the inner assurance comes, however small, warmth that does not come from a radiator, a breath that widens of its own accord, a sense that the ground beneath your feet has ceased to roll. Then, and not till then, move as you are led. If no leading appears, remain quiet, or go about the simplest next thing. Wash a cup, answer kindly, rest without consulting fear. Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. The Spirit does the demonstrating, we do the consenting. There is a maturity needed here, because often grace announces itself before the picture has changed. The fever may still register on the glass, and yet a certainty without words says it is in hand. The bank balance may not climb this hour, and yet a weightless weight rests on your shoulder, and you know you are not bereft. The loved one may still be away, and yet the jealousy has no hook to find you with. Learn to trust this interior decree. It is finished. Do not run from it to peek at the tomb. Let the seed be seed until it presents itself as stalk and ear. The proof you need first is the release. The forms that follow are the byproducts of the one demonstration. If you have that inner yes, you can send your child into the day without clutching, not as bravado, but as recognition. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Now, course correct gently. If you catch yourself manipulating, drafting the text that will make them change, arranging people like chess pieces in your mind, stop mid-sentence. Do not shame yourself. Do not vow a new regime. Simply replace the movement of influence with the stillness of listening. Cast thy burden upon the Lord. Say inwardly, Father alone. Then wait. If the impulse remains when peace is felt, follow it without push. If it dissolves, let it go without mourning. The same with jealousy. Release the person into the Father's bosom. My child is not my child. My partner is not my possession, and feel how the hand unclenches. Perfect love casteth out fear, not perfect surveillance. There is even a language test. If your prayer is built of ifs and whens and onlys, you are bargaining in the marketplace. If it reduces itself to thank you, Father, no reasons, no schedules, you are nearing realization. Let your yea be yea. Do not argue with the darkness. Switch on the light. Do not try to make the mind think better. Lift the mind to the one who thinks not at all in human images. If you hear yourself pleading, you are not listening. If you are listening, you will find yourself receiving, and receiving is quiet. So it is, we become skilled diagnosticians of our own worship. We check not the pulse of the problem, but the pulse of our prayer. Are we tight? We stop. Are we easy? We proceed. Were we caught? We return. 70 times 7. We return until even the act of checking grows unnecessary because ease has become the native climate. Remember this in every corridor of your day. Strain signals self at work. Ease signals grace at work. Adjust accordingly. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Keep to the one demonstration. Be still. Know. Wait. And let the signs of grace write their own letters in your house, your purse, your body, without your hand guiding the pen. Now we seal what has been given, not with another set of tasks, but with the same simplicity that has carried us. Stop pushing. There are no such things as many demonstrations. There is only one demonstration, the realization of the Christ within. All else that appears, health for the body, provision in the purse, peace in the house, wisdom in the office, mercy in the city, are the many faces of that one realization. The more we try to get the faces, the more they blur and run. The moment we turn from faces to the face, from objects to source, the many find their rightful order without our arranging. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. That is not a figure of speech, it is a law. I of my own self can do nothing. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Do you see why we have labored to end your labor? Because striving blocks, surrendered awareness opens the only doorway to harmony. So the commission is not to accomplish, but to abide. Be still, turn within, and wait. That is the entire method, the whole craft. Do not polish it. Do not embroider it. Do not add cleverness to grace. Sit down, drop persons, conditions, and outcomes. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Wait until that inner assurance comes, a warmth unmanufactured, a breath that widens of its own accord, a word that is not commentary but life. Fear not, I am with thee. Then stop. Do not touch it. Do not take hold and begin shaping it into results. Let grace perform the work, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. If there is to be speaking, it will speak through you. If there is to be doing, it will do through you. If there is to be a change, it will appear without your forced hand in it. Christ doesn't send these things. Christ is these things as realized, becoming the law of your experience. The harder you try to demonstrate supply or health, the thinner they become, because you have separated them from their life. Release the object. Receive the presence. Forms will come as branches carry fruit when the vine lives through them. I am the vine, ye are the branches. Now widen your horizon and narrow your seeking at the same time. Have no limit on what God can reveal. Eye have not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath it entered into the heart of man, the things God hath prepared for them that love him. Do not tell God how large your good may be. Do not dictate the method or the shape. You will only remake the old in a brighter paint. Loosen your pictures. Let the infinite be infinite, but do not seek any particular form. Seek God. Only this, one thing. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord, to behold the beauty of the Lord. Make that your vow, and keep it plain. If an old longing returns to whisper, what about the body? What about the bill? What about the child? Let your answer be the same turning. Father, thou knowest. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. Our asking, then, is not for items. It is for awareness. Our asking is not a shopping list. It is a surrender. Let this become your daily vow, not once, but as breath upon waking. Father, here I am. Be still and know. At noon, my peace I receive, not as the world giveth. Be still and know. In the evening, underneath are the everlasting arms. Be still and know. In the in-betweens, 10 seconds, at a door, at a message, at a face God is. Do this not as magic, but as marriage. Abide in me, and I in you. And if you forget, return without self-accusation. Return unto thy rest, O my soul. 70 times 7, return until there is no return, because there is no leaving. Guard yourself against the superstition that time or technique will earn the miracle. Not all the truth that is written in the books, not all the affirmations you can gather will heal a simple headache if there is no realized presence. It has to be God's grace. Let us keep our hands off the mechanism and our heart open to the operator. I would not send you out with poetry only. I would send you with a promise grounded in law. This singular practice will change the history of your life, not by making you clever at outcomes, but by placing your days under a government you did not build. The peace of God, which passeth understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds. Kept hearts make kept houses. Kept minds make kept bodies. Kept beings become centers through which the keeping law ripples into other lives. Because there is only one soul, one mind, one spirit, your quiet realization blesses beyond your door. A quarrel will soften in a room you are not in. A ledger will balance by a wisdom you did not plan. A child's fever will break in the night while you sleep, for you had already loosed the fear into the Father's hands. You will look back one day and say, I do not know how it happened that the old weights are gone, but I know when the government shifted, I stopped pushing. I let the Christ be Christ in the midst of me. Do not ask for a map, only for the next step of trust. Often the first proof of grace is not a changed picture, but a changed you in the picture. The face that once clenched will unclench. The word that once hurried will rest. Then forms follow, as clouds follow the wind. And when the larger changes come, doors that open without knocking, reconciliations no diplomacy could have engineered, provision that regards no market, do not clutch them. Bless them and look past them, as you would look through a clear pane to the wide sky beyond. Keep your appointment with the One. My grace is sufficient for thee. Sufficient means enough here, now, and enough for what may appear tomorrow. Take no thought for the morrow. Seek God. Rest, wait, obey the gentle nudge when it comes call. Bless, keep silence, speak truth in love, and let all else be added. So I commission you not to the many, but to the one. Stop pushing, realize Christ, and let grace translate that realization into whatever is needful. Refuse to enter the old contest where human will struggles with human will. Live instead by the quiet law. God is, Christ is, here, now, in the midst. Let your light so shine, not by glare, not by argument, but by being. Where you are, be the stillness that knows. Where you go, carry the seal of that inner yes, and do not tamper with it. Place no ceiling over the infinite. Work no trick to hurry. Love. Trust the mustard seed. Trust the leaven. Trust the vine. Let the one demonstration, the realized Christ within, be the pulse, and let the many appearances be what they must be to reveal the beauty of the Lord in time and place. Now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, unto that presence in the midst, be your consent and your praise. So it is.